Hi guys, today I'm at Pecora Sheep Dairy to talk with Michael and Cressida McNamara, and in a few minutes from now it's about to be sheep rush hour. It's milking time here at Pecora Dairy, where Michael and Cressida are entering their second year of production. But first, I talked to them about cheese, sheep, and their idyllic hinterland farm.
Our farm is 80 acres and we're located in Robertson, which is about an hour and 3/4 south of Sydney. We're not actually that far from the coast. We're probably only 15 kilometres from the coast, but we're actually on the highest point of the escarpment.
So the breed we are using are East Friesians, and we do use pure East Friesians. They originally come from the Netherlands and they haven't been in Australia all that long, maybe 15 or so years. They're really difficult to raise from a small base, so they tend to have 2, 3, sometimes even 4 lambs. So often we're obviously raising quite a few lambs by hand, which is a tricky thing in itself, but they're really worth it because in the parlour they're beautifully natured. They'll do anything for food, so they're easy to train. And East Friesians are the world's highest milkers, so they're just a lovely sheep to have in the dairy. It's taken us a long while to breed up our flock, and really we're not anywhere near the numbers we would like to get to at the moment. It's a long process. We are very rigorous about the characteristics that we want. We're really breeding for the pure East Friesian characteristics and of course for the best milk lines. We are a pasture-based system. The property did have lots of undesirable species when we first came here, so we're in the process of changing it over to what we want. It's a long process. We're talking, 10, 15, 20 years to get it really where we want to. We were fortunate that there aren't any really bad weeds here, but we've been changing it over to rye and clover mostly, which is really like sheep ice cream. And you watch the sheep come in and they'll just, if you put them on a new paddock and the rye is nice and high, and they'll come in and they'll just take these great big mouthfuls, and you can think, absolutely, that's wonderful, it's going into the milk. And there are also some really useful, fantastic native species already in the pasture which we're managing carefully, so the sheep don't overgraze them, because they add to the complexity of the milk and also to the health of the sheep, because there's all sorts of different nutrients and minerals. I do sometimes plant crops for the sheep, particular things like brassica, which is a really deep-rooted crop, will bring a lot of minerals into the plant, so the sheep are obviously taking the tops off those and gaining the health benefits from it.
The other wonderful thing is that we have 3 creeks that run through the property, and so the sheep are really drinking pure mountain spring water most of the time. The creeks actually meander through all of the paddocks, so that no matter what paddock they are in, they've got access to the fresh spring water coming off the mountain.
Daily milking at Pecora is a calm and orderly affair. After grazing on lush pastures all day, the relaxed flock patiently wait their turn in the queue.
So we've got about 130 sheep. This is our first year of production, and we started milking 70 sheep. And in another 4 months we'll start with our new season sheep, and we'll be starting with between 100 and 120. So we're looking, probably the maximum we'd be milking would be about 200 sheep.
The wonderful thing about running sheep is, of course, the seasonality of the product that we get. From spring, the fresh, young, sweet shoots of ryegrass and clover really add a different dimension to our fresher cheeses, especially those like Bloomy White. And then towards the end of the season, the solids really go through the roof, and the pasture obviously changes, and you can see that with how the milk performs in the vat and also the end products of the cheeses.
So Cressida, now that you're at sort of the end of the season almost, how much milk would you be getting from each sheep now compared to what you would at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, sure. They're definitely drying off at this stage after 6 months. We'd be looking at getting about 500 or 600 mils per sheep now, and in peak lactation, and after about 3 or 4 weeks into their lactation, you're looking at between 1.2 to 1.5 litres a day per sheep. So really it's a massive drop. They do go down quite significantly. But because the solids are high, it's still worth milking them to this day.
Bloomy White, which is a wrinkled rind, soft ripened cheese, and then as the outside starts to develop and become molten or fudgy, you'll pick up some mushroom and some lovely complexity coming through. Essentially, the Bloomy White is a soft cheese that's been developed over 24 hours with a long lactic set, and we grow geotrichum. You can start to see the geotrichum growing on the outside. This is just after 2 days. So we'll turn those out so that they can rapidly get a full covering of geotrichum.
And how long will they sit on this mat for now?
We'll let them sit on this mat for another day, and after which time we'll put them in a humidity controlled room so that they can mature further and get to a point within 2 weeks where we can start to sell them. We hand ladle all of the cheeses, which some call moulé à la louche, which is designed to not only treat the curds extremely delicately, but also to get an even distribution of fat.
Okay, so the even distribution of fat then, so you're saying when it's setting lactically, that starts to separate out?
That's right. At the end of the 24-hour set, there'll be the cream will obviously rise to the top, and the top of the basines will actually be quite thick and creamy, and it's important for the flavour profile that creamy curd on the top be evenly distributed throughout all the cheeses.
Do you want me to put this back on?
Yeah.
Ta-da! There we go, okay.
Well done.
So Cressida, I've noticed a lot of your sheep still have their tails. That's unusual. What's the story?
It is unusual in Australia, that's right. So East Frisian sheep have this sort of what they call the rat's tail. So it's a really slim tail with no wool on it. They're free from wool all around here. So that we don't need to do any mulesing or taking off their tails. They're nice and clean, bred specifically for that purpose for milking. Yeah. During the milking season, we don't use any drenches or chemicals at all. Of course, no antibiotics, which really adds obviously to the flavour of the milk. And it means that, as Michael said, the sheep are in fantastic health. We do supplement them with vitamins and minerals, but they are just really happy sheep, basically, on this place.
Once the milking was finished, Michael invited me to try the fresh raw milk, a privilege few people get to experience.
There
we go. So milking's over. Now we've got the chance to do the taste test. So we've got milk from the supermarket, and we've got milk unpasteurised straight from the sheep.
Exactly.
All right, talk me through the differences.
Firstly, let's do the swirl test.
Okay, all right.
So supermarket milk.
Yeah.
Obviously runs off the glass, still fairly viscous, but it runs off the glass fairly easily.
Okay, yeah, the whole exhibit A.
Sheep milk, you can just see that
it's a lot thicker, isn't it?
It's a lot thicker and it's a lot more viscous. And it's obviously because sheep's milk contains about double the solids that cow's milk has, double the solids being protein, sugars and fats. So,
let's taste, okay. All right, here we go. Straight from the sheep.
So differences?
They're like poles apart, aren't they?
They are.
That's so rich. It still tastes like milk. Like, I don't think that sheep and cow fundamentally taste different.
No, it's not like a distinctively different taste. Like it's not as pungent as goat's milk or something.
It's just so rich. It's so rich.
It's the same kind of flavour profile as cow, just much sweeter and much more creamy.
It's very creamy, isn't it? Like it's just, I can even feel it just coating around my whole mouth. Just so rich.
Yep. And it tastes sweet as well.
Yum. Delicious, delicious. It's nice, the supermarket milk, but it's quite flat. Like it's just all, one level. Whereas when you taste something like that, There's so many other little nuances and things coming
Yeah,
through.
there
It's
are.
still going. It's really
Yep.
lovely.
We've made a blue which is a softer blue without being as soft as say Roquefort or Gorgonzola. It is marbled, but I suppose we've drawn inspiration from Bleu de Basque. So we've tried to make a cheese that is that has got a mild amount of blue, so you can still taste the creamy, sweet sheep milk coming through.
I love this funky outside. Just tell us a bit about all the different things we can see growing on the cheese there and how that affects the flavour.
Yeah, the rind is evolving, but obviously we can see 3 types of mould here. We've obviously got a little bit of Brevy, which is the orange tones that you see, so you get this tricolour effect. The blue is Penicillium roqueforti, and obviously you've got a little bit of Geotrichum that is just occurring naturally in the open environment. We think that they all, in their own way, contribute to a complex flavour profile. There's beautiful blue marbling right throughout the cheese.
Lovely.
This is a fairly young cheese, and this is an example of one that's a little bit older. Would you like to try some?
I would love to try some. You read my mind.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheese.
Oh, the texture is so velvety. Yum. You can really still taste the milk, can't you? Like, it's just so buttery and grassy. Get that little bit of blue mould. It's not so spicy though. It's more like earthy. Like when you smell it, it's sort of like the inside of a cave and those sorts of notes rather than something really spicy.
Yep.
Michael, I love that under all those flavours, you can still taste the milk. Like that flavour really still shines through.
We're also making a semi-hard, which obviously we're releasing at 9 months, so it hasn't been released to the public just yet, and the rind formation is still something that's evolving at this time. But essentially, we want to concentrate on making 3 cheeses and doing those really well. Our main philosophy with cheese making is that we want to be respectful of the underlying milk, because as you can see, we've invested so much into the pasture, and we've invested so much in making sure we've got high quality sheep milk that it would be a shame to let the cheesemakers' tricks overpower the beautiful product that we've got underneath. Where you can find us in Sydney is Everleigh Market, which is a wonderful producers market. We're there on the 1st and 3rd Saturdays of the month. It's wonderful, isn't it, to have the direct contact with our consumers at the markets as well. We get to hear their feedback, and we're getting a wonderful following, especially for our Bloomy White. But it is wonderful to have that connection, and I think our consumers enjoy having the connection with the producer as well. Dairy farmers?
Yep. Okay, well, let's not say that. Let's just say milk from the supermarket.